This year's one of the best wide receiver classes in a while. If your NFL or Dynasty team needs a receiver, this is the year for you. And let's get right into it with my number one prospect, Jordan Tyson. Tyson is a 6'2", 200-pound elite prospect and might be a top 5 pick. He's an elite route runner who offers slot and wide versatility with great hands. He has the build and usage of a true NFL wide receiver 1, but his biggest concern is his injury history. A severe knee surgery, collarbone injury, and hamstring injury, all in 3 years, is very concerning. And if his medicals don't check out, it's not ridiculous for him to fall as far as day 2. However, Tyson's only in-game drawback is his yards after catch ability. So, if an NFL team is willing to take a gamble on injuries and it pays off, he could definitely be a future star. If you're watching this, please leave a like. You'll see a football appear, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'm a small channel, so anything helps. Hope you enjoy the video. We move on to our number 2 prospect, Carnell Tate. Tate is a former 5-star who is coming out of Ohio State Wide Receiver University in recent years. He's ultra reliable, has great hands, and is a yards after catch threat. When watching Carnell Tate, you really struggle to find the true flaw with him. He's a long, fluid athlete, although without amazing long speed, but that's expected at 6'3", 195 pounds. He could use work refining his route running, but I wouldn't define it as a weakness because it's still great. Tate is the one player I'd be shocked if he wasn't still contributing to a team 5 years from now. We move on to number 3 and my favorite wide receiver in this class, Makai Lemon. Lemon is an ultra smooth route runner with great hands who's only 5'11", 195, but plays like he's 6'2". He finds a soft spot in zones and is a legit run after catch threat. The only flaws with him come with his size and the fact he struggles with physical press man coverage. But I feel out of the slot, this guy could be a perennial 1,000-yard receiver in the league. But we know slot receivers always get looked down upon in the NFL. We move on to number 4 and probably my hottest take of the video, Brazzell II. I love what I see, and I get scouts don't want to be burned by Tennessee receivers like they were with Jalen Hyatt, but I feel Brazzell is a different type of player. He's 6'5" with elite speed and very strong hands. He can stretch the field like no one else in this class, and if you have a number 1 receiver you're tired of being schemed out of games, Brazzell will make the defense respect him. His route tree is limited, which is probably his biggest knock, but he's great at running those routes that he's assigned and can always find soft spots in zone coverages when a play breaks down or whenever he's required to. We move on to number 5 and Chris Bell, a wide receiver built like a linebacker. He's 6'2", 220 and a height, weight, speed freak. He's steadily improved every year being at Louisville and really broke out this year. He is still a raw prospect, not being an elite route runner, and he tore his ACL this year. He's not a bad wide receiver by any means, but his tools are really what make your jaw drop. The scariest thing about him is he did just tear his ACL, but with modern medicine, if the medicals check out, I don't think it's a career ender anymore. If a team can get the most out of Bell's tools, he'll become one of the scariest receivers in the league, and that's just an upside I feel you have to bet on. We move on to number 6, Denzel Boston, the 6'4", 210-pound receiver. Boston has the ideal size to be an NFL receiver, and has amazing route running to go with it. He has natural hands and makes 50-50 balls look 70-30. He's really fluid for his size and is a willing run blocker. So you might ask, why isn't he number 1? His biggest drawback is his speed. Sometimes he struggles to separate and relies too much on his hands to make a play, and the reason I'm lower on him than most is I don't think his physical tools and route running will allow him to get open against NFL DBs. Against Oregon and Ohio State, he had 25 and 26 yards respectively. We move on to number 7, Concepcion, who is 5'11", 190, and a problem after the catch. If you play Concepcion in man coverage, he will find a way to get open, averaging 2.63 yards per route run against man. But against zone, which is 70% of NFL coverages, he only averages 1.88 yards per route run. Concepcion is like a running back after the catch, forcing 6.6 yards after the catch on average, and forces 21% of tackle attempts on him to miss. He's also elite when the play falls apart, finding ways to get open. Unfortunately, he does struggle to catch the ball, which is really unfortunate as a smaller receiver, and he has a drop rate of 9%, meaning he isn't much of a downfield threat. We move on to number 8, Sarrat, Mendoza's right-hand man. From a 0-star recruit to playing for the national championship with undefeated Indiana and having 800 yards and 15 touchdowns. Sarrat's work ethic is something you can't deny. He's a smooth route runner with a high football IQ, using leverage to constantly get himself open. He has great hands, and while not an elite jump ball receiver, is a very reliable one, and he always comes up clutch in big moments. Unfortunately, Sarrat doesn't have elite burst or long speed, and isn't a freaky receiver in length, but if he nails his interviews, I wouldn't be surprised if he slid up the draft order, because this is a guy you simply want to bet on. We move on to number 9, Malachi Fields, the 6'4", 223-pound receiver out of Notre Dame. He's a huge receiver with a large catch radius and great hands, and while he's not going to make you miss after the catch, he will run through you for an extra couple of yards. He's one of the best receivers in this class at beating press man, but his acceleration and speed are in question. He's also not the most nuanced route runner, and often just wins with his size. Finally, he's an older prospect, being a 5th-year senior. Last and least in my opinion is Deion Burks. Let's start with his biggest downside. He's 5'9", 185, so he's a much smaller receiver. However, Burks is crazy athletic, making Bruce Feldman's freak list, benching 350 for 3 reps. Alongside that, he has crazy burst and is incredibly twitchy. His route running is elite, he's a fluid mover, and has great hands. He also uses all that twitch after the catch to make him hard to get down. Besides his size, I really can't think of a downside. He's not a good run blocker, but if you're drafting him to be a run blocker, you're an idiot and you should be fired. We move on to some honorable mentions. Skylar Bell is a great route runner who can attack zone coverage really well and was incredibly close to making my list. He's 6 foot, 185, which sometimes causes him to get knocked off his route. Omar Cooper Jr. is primarily a slot and is great after the catch, but has limited route tree and limited production at a high level. Jeremy Bernard is our final honorable mention. He's a reliable receiver with fantastic hands and a very solid route running, but his production isn't elite and he lacks true long speed. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, leave a comment, subscribe, like, and you'll see football appear. I'm a small channel, so anything helps.